Donald Trump is continuing to dismantle every government agency that protects the environment and actually tries to solve problems. Trump closes panel meant to help cities deal with climate change. So they're talking about the Community Resilience Panel for Buildings and Infrastructure Systems, and it included representatives of the Environmental Protection Agency, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and other agencies. And the whole point of this government agency is preparedness. So, you know, with sea levels rising and an increase in natural disasters, a very important part of that is preparedness. How are we sure that we're ready for a worst-case scenario? And now it's not even like, okay, we have the agency here and they're doing a poor job to try to address these things. They're just eliminating the agency. They just don't care. No, it's what we want to do, the bidding of industry. Industry that pollutes, industry that pushes us further down the wrong path on climate change. So we're not even going to keep the agency and handcuff it and make it shitty. We're going to eliminate this agency. Now, the trick that they're doing with the EPA is, we're going to keep the EPA, but we're going to handcuff it. We're going to put a guy in charge of the EPA who sued the EPA over a dozen times, who's on the record as saying CO2 is not a contributor to climate change. We're going to take this guy who's deeply anti-science, and we're going to let him run the EPA, and he's going to allow more pollution. He's going to allow us to go further down the path of climate change. With this agency for preparedness for climate change, he's like, we're not even going to do that. We're not even going to fucking play footsie with the agency. That's it. We're done with it completely. We're eliminating it. Listen, man. We need to start taking these issues seriously. It might already be past the point of no return. I don't know. We might already be past that point. I know the over 400 parts per million number was given as like, once you get past this threshold, there's no coming back. Aren't we over that threshold? I think we're over that threshold. I think we covered it when we crossed that threshold. So, I don't know. But how do you convince people who a defining part of their non-ideology, because they don't really have one, is just, I'm in favor of triggering the libs. So, you know, if the libs say, hey, maybe we should listen to these scientists and address this giant ecological disaster, well, I care more about triggering them than fixing any actual problem, so I'm going to go in the opposite direction. How do you get through to those people? Is there a way to get through to them? There might not be a way to get through to them. And these people are in control of every level of government at the moment. I mean, they pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. By the way, it wasn't even a treaty because we couldn't make it a treaty because the Republicans in Congress under Obama said, no, we're not going to allow this to be a treaty. Everybody else around the world said, let's make it a treaty. So in other words, like, put it on paper, make it law, we all have to abide by this. Because of the Republican Congress under Obama, everybody else in the world goes, treaty's the right way to go. They go, no, we're not going to make it a treaty. So they rejected it, which meant it became a weaker thing, which is an agreement. Not binding by law, but, hey, it's a gentleman's agreement. We'll all do our part, right? So they weakened it from the beginning. And now Trump pulled out of it. He's like, yeah, we're done with this. What? It's the least anybody could do on this issue of climate change. In fact, we have to go way further than what was laid out in that agreement. But they're just like, yeah, no, we're done. We don't want to do that. I'm a guy who is beholden to industry, fossil fuel companies, dirty energy companies. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do their bidding. And then I'm going to come up with this bullshit argument about how the Paris Agreement is unfair to us because it makes us do more than other countries. Because we're one of the top countries when it comes to emissions. Obviously, we're going to be asked to do more than other countries that emit like 8% what we do. By definition, you have to do more. You're a bigger part of the problem. You know, listen, maybe there's one argument that could save us here. Because the best way to make somebody's case to them is to use their own supposed beliefs and say, listen, according to your own beliefs, this is the right answer. So one of the stories that I thought was most interesting in regards to climate change is that you're going to have climate refugees at a point in the not too distant future. And some of the countries that are going to be uninhabitable are Middle Eastern countries. So you think we have a refugee crisis with the Syrian war going on? Think again. You ain't seen nothing yet. What happens when a country like Saudi Arabia has to leave there because it's uninhabitable because it's too hot all the time? And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a mass refugee crisis from the Middle East when the temperature gets too hot. Where do you think they're going to go? All the people who are crying now about the European refugee crisis and the U.S. and we're taking refugees and oh my God, this is terrible. Well, you better get to fucking work on climate change or else this refugee crisis is going to take steroids and human growth hormone and it's going to be a lot bigger. So maybe that'll kick your rear in gear. Knowing that the immigration and refugee situation in your mind is going to get way worse when the Middle East has to empty. And even if you say, I still don't believe it, don't you just want to be on the safe side? Hey, let's just go to green technology and renewable technology to be on the safe side. Just in case maybe that happens, we'll make it so it doesn't happen. Your move, guys. You run every level of government.